What came from the sky that night could not be understood by science, and its family victim stood an even far lesser chance than that. When it takes hold of their farm, will they even notice the transformations take place before it is too late? We see a forest and a quote by H.P. Lovecraft being read. Then a girl stands near a lake. She is encircled by rocks and speaks aloud to perform a ritual. A man also walks nearby in that forest. We see that he hears the girl speak as she calls upon the element. After that, she states that the cancer of her mother, Teresa Gardner, be burned out. The girl then starts burning a strand of hair, and then she notices the man behind her. She instantly tells him that this is private property, but he tells her that he did not know. Then he introduces himself as Ward Phillips and states that he's doing a survey for a hydroelectric company. He gives her the survey and she thanks him for ruining her ritual. When she gets on her horse, Ward asks for her name. She tells him that it's Lavinia Gardner. After that, Lavinia rides her horse home and meets her father. He expresses his concern about her being gone and not wearing any shoes. Then her mother comes out and asks Lavinia about the whereabouts of her brother. The girl then goes into the stables and finds her brother there smoking. She tells him that she met Ward there and states that he was somewhat attractive. Afterward, she walks to a well and meets her youngest brother near it. They both look into it. The scene then changes to the family sitting at the dinner table. The father, Nathan, reveals their dinner dish to be cassoulet. Then we see the mother, Teresa, sitting in another room while discussing business with someone via her computer. Afterward, she comes down and joins her family. Lavinia talks about how delicious fast food is, and her mother reminds her of how it is made. Then Teresa sends Nathan down to bring some wine. After dinner, Nathan and Teresa stand outside near their house. Nathan tells her how he did not think he would be living on his father's farm, but here he is doing that. Then the two start getting romantic and talk about doing something they have not done in 6 months. Nathan adds that they got out of the city and now are living the dream. Night has come and each member of the family is in their respective room. Lavinia lies sleeping in bed. The older brother, Benny, sits at his computer while looking at the solar system. Nathan and Teresa sit on their bed, talking to one another. And the youngest son, Jack, lies scared in his room. We then see a huge purple ring in the night sky above the house. Later, Jack comes out of his room and sees Sam the dog in the corridor. Then that room starts turning purple and so does every other room in the house. Jack sits in the corridor and screams. This causes his parents to come out to him and then the other kids come out too. Lavinia asks coarsely if what just happened was an earthquake. After that, the family goes outside to investigate and they all see a purple rock on the ground. While they approach it, Nathan tells everyone to go back inside. Then Teresa yells that something is wrong with Jack. They come to him in the house and Jack talks about the smell of the purple rock, that he could still feel it. A while later, Jack states that his head hurts and his parents try to deal with him. In the morning, they are near where the rock fell. The police arrive and Nathan explains to them what happened. Then Lavinia exits the house and Ward appears there to greet her. He asks her if this is the result of her ritual from yesterday. She states that she wishes that were the case. And then she introduces Ward to her father, telling him that Ward is surveying the dam water. Then he looks at the dirt where the rock fell and says that it looks like a meteorite. Shortly after, the police leave. After that, Lavinia comes home to her mother. Her mother asks her about Ward and even states that Lavinia likes him. When she states that it is obvious, Lavinia gets upset and leaves. While Nathan, Benny, and Ward sit near the meteorite and discuss it, Nathan says that it's time to milk the alpacas. When they all go there and Nathan does it, he offers Ward some of the milk, but he rejects it. So Nathan drinks it instead. Then Teresa knocks on her daughter's door and we see Lavinia sitting on her bed, crying due to what her mother said to her. After that, Ward asks to talk to someone else there and Nathan tells him about Ezra. He gets Benny to take him there. As they walk there, Ward notices that the place has many cameras. When Ezra opens his door to them, he already knows that Ward is a hydrologist. His surprises Ward and then they both get invited inside. While there, they speak about the state of the water and Ward offers to use his equipment to investigate it. And then it starts raining. We then see Lavinia standing in the rain. Her father comes out to tell her to get inside and then they see how lightning strikes the meteorite. Then we see Ward performing some tests to check the state of the water. After he is done with that, he sits outside and listens to the radio. It starts behaving unusually, so he turns it off. And then he gets a call on his phone, which then acts less than properly. After he hears something in the bushes, Ward gets up to see what it was. He searches with his flashlight and observes some strange coloration in the bushes. Then the car starts behind him and he turns to it to see what is going on. But then it turns off as he gets near it. The scene changes to Nathan and Teresa standing near the meteorite. Nathan asks her how something that big disappeared. Then she notices that some flowers appeared near the well. Then at night, the family occupies their living room and watches the news, where Nathan is on television, talking about the meteorite phenomenon. As he watches it, he gets devastated as to the misinformation that gets revealed. He is being called a witness to observing a UFO. In the kitchen, Teresa breaks an egg into a bowl with blood in it. As Nathan continues to be devastated by the news, he tells Jack to get his mother to him. When the boy comes to her, she removes her fingers accidentally while cutting carrots with the knife. She does not even notice it and continues to cut. After that, she states that dinner is ready while showing her injured hand. Following that scene, Nathan and his wife get into their car and drive away to help her with her wound. The kids are left alone. In the morning, Benny feeds the alpacas. Then Lavinia comes out and asks him why they are not in the barn. Afterward, she comes to Jack and he tells her that a man in the well is talking to her. She sits there for a short time and then goes into the house. While there, she gets a call on her phone. She knows it's her father, but only strange sounds are coming through to her. We then see that Nathan is getting the same kinds of sounds on his phone. After that, Jack stands up and starts walking to the well. Many flowers have now grown on the grass as he walks there. He then looks into it and observes an odd material there making some movement. Then a purple mantis comes out. It looks at the boy with purple vision and then it flies away. Then Lavinia washes dishes. She takes the knife that her mother used to cause the incident and starts washing the blood away from it. Shortly after that, the sink overflows with blood. Lavinia gets taken aback by it and then she gets another phone call. But the undecipherable sounds continue to come out. She then reaches her limit and runs to the toilet to vomit into it. After that, Ward comes to visit her. When she opens the door, he tells her that something is wrong with the water, it's contaminated. But since she is feeling sick, she goes back inside and does not listen further. Ward then walks away and goes to Ezra. He knocks on his door and it opens. So he steps inside and discovers Ezra on the floor. After being offered some java, Ward tells him not to drink the water. Then Ezra gives Ward some headphones to listen to. As he listens, he asks Ezra what he's hearing. The man tells him that it's the people under the floor, the aliens. To that, Ward states that it's a crazy idea. Then he tells him to drink bottled water and makes way for the door. While there, Ward tells him that he will let him know if he sees his cat. Ezra responds that if Ward sees it, he might not recognize it. In the next scene, Nathan and Teresa are driving back home. Teresa says that she doesn't know what she was thinking when the incident took place. Then they are suddenly forced to stop because of a bizarre creature on the road. Nathan mentions the strangeness of its eyes. Then Jack sits with the dog outside the house. Purple light appears in great quantity and Sam starts growling. Afterward, Lavinia stands in Benny's room and looks at his computer. It behaves in a very strange way and then turns off. After that, he comes in. He tells her that strange things are happening, that it was daytime and then it became dark fast. Following that, the phone rings again, and when Lavinia answers, the same disturbing sounds keep coming from it. The parents then arrive and scold the kids because they found Jack outside at night. Then Nathan sees the alpacas being out of their barn and scolds them some more. After he brings them back into the barn, he asks the kids where Sam is. Lavinia tells him that they must have got him. After being confused and asking her who they are, Nathan blows up at her before he leaves their sight. Once he leaves, Lavinia tells Benny that they have to leave this place. The scene changes to Nathan taking a shower. He then spots some clear jelly covering the drain. He picks it up and it covers his hand with disturbing speed. This prompts Nathan to drop it in fear. When he comes out of the shower, he asks what that smell is in their room. Then he tells his wife that it's the smell of cancer. Later, we see Nathan harvesting his crops. As he does, he states that they are big and 1 month early. Meanwhile, Teresa is doing business in her room, but the connection becomes very bad and she loses her call. She then comes down to her husband in the kitchen and expresses her frustration with the antenna. She adds that she is losing customers because of it. Then Nathan tastes the peaches and the tomatoes and expresses even more frustration to their taste than his wife did to the antenna. He dunks them into the garbage bin and Teresa demands that he fix their antenna. The scene changes to Nathan watching the television by himself. He then looks at his arms and notices that something is wrong with them. They look like the arms of someone much older. After some time, Jack comes to the living room and sees his father sleeping there while the TV is on. The TV shows nothing but a bizarre image. Then Lavinia engages in a ritual in her room. She uses a knife as the ritual probably demands. Then Teresa gets out of bed and looks for her youngest son, but he is now with Benny in the barn. They come to look at the alpacas and notice they have become deformed. Luminous purple light comes out of them and forces the kids to run away. As they run, they see their mother there outside. Jack runs to her, and the purple light comes to them both and claims them. After that, Nathan comes out and brings them inside the house. He tells Benny to call the ambulance, but when he calls, he gets nothing but static. Then Lavinia comes down. When she looks at her mother and brother, she perceives them being fused together in a grotesque way. She then screams in horror. Later, Nathan tries starting his car, but it won't start. This causes him to fume tremendously. When he gets out of it, we see how the flowering has overtaken the farm. Benny and Lavinia sit with their mother and fused brother. Lavinia states that this is all the meteorite's effect, and Benny adds that it affected time too. Their father then comes in and informs them the car won't start. Afterward, he gets disturbed by the sounds Teresa makes in her new form. They decide, then, to take them to Teresa's office room. When they put them there, all of them see how the mother and son suffer in that deformed state and are greatly troubled by it. This leads Nathan to take out a shotgun and head for the barn. When he gets there, he sees the mutated alpacas, and then he shoots them while yelling. Benny and Lavinia allow their mother to eat from a bowl. Soon after, their father returns and tells his children to go downstairs. Lavinia asks him what he is going to do, and he says that he will handle it. The kids leave and Nathan comes to his wife and kisses her. He speaks to her about how they will be taking that trip that they wanted to take, and then he walks away. We then see Ward at some establishment. When he leaves it, two people near a truck show him a big collection of deformed animals. Ward looks at them and states that they seem to be covered in radiation burns. After that, Nathan sits down in the living room and begins watching the bizarre image on the television. Meanwhile, Benny and Lavinia attempt to deal with the horse near the barn, but it soon becomes scared and runs away. Then Benny calls out to Sam. He checks for him in the well and then starts climbing down. After a few seconds, luminous purple light appears from beneath and claims him. Lavinia cries and her father comes from behind and takes her. He brings her into the house and places her inside the room where her mother and brother are. Before he does, he tells her to feed her mother. Then we see Ward riding with the police. When he sees Lavinia's horse run by, he states whom it belongs to and the policeman turns on the siren. Nathan watches the TV while his daughter struggles to escape. Then her mother calls her name and approaches her as a spider-like monster. Meanwhile, Ward and the policeman arrive at the house and step out of the vehicle. They knock on the door of the house and Nathan comes to them. He talks to them, but they could see that he is insane. As that happens, the monstrous Teresa terrorizes Lavinia. Then as they walk into his house, Ward asks Nathan where's his family. And Nathan answers that they're all there, but no one is there but him. And then he adds that Benny lives in a well now. Afterward, they hear Lavinia yell from upstairs. They come there and break through the door. They see the monster that is on her and hear how Lavinia pleads to be saved. Then Nathan enters and puts an end to that which was once his wife. And then he does the same to what was left of his son. After that, he says that that wasn't his family. Ward then tends to Lavinia and carries her outside. When they get there, they see the horrifying purple light. The policeman shoots Nathan because he was pointing his gun at Ward, and that causes the purple light to retreat into the well. Nathan then passes away in his daughter's arms. After that takes place, they all hear a sound. Ward states that it probably came from Ezra's cabin. When Ward and the policeman get to his place, they enter the cabin and see Ezra sitting with his back towards them. They hear him talking to himself about the phenomenon. But then they see that he is not talking, it is his recorder. They look at him and he looks grotesque. Then his head starts going purple with the light. This causes them to leave the cabin and run from the area. As they go, the policeman gets snatched upward by a monster. Ward searches for him and sees him get eliminated up in a tree. He then approaches Lavinia near the well. When he looks at her face, it reveals to him another dimension of alien happenings bathed in purple light and myriads of worm-like creatures. To such a sight, Ward backs away and falls down. Lavinia channels the alien presence and from behind her the light comes out like a tornado. Then she disintegrates. Ward retreats into the house. He sees Nathan sitting there on the couch. And when Nathan sees Ward, he comes at him and starts attacking him. But Ward hides in the cellar. And after hiding there for less than a minute, the house gets claimed completely by the light. After some time, Ward emerges from the rubble. He picks up one of Lavinia's belongings and stands in the rubble. Then, after a long time, Ward stands on the now completed dam. As he stands there, his voiceover states that few remember the strange days. What touched this place once cannot be understood by human science. He finishes by saying that it was just a color out of space.